Thank you very much for your answer. Less aggressive than anticipated, but nonetheless diplomatic. My question next is for Mr. Bettel, and Madam President can join the conversation as well, because this is specific to the role of the European Union and their influence on the South Caucasus. The external actors aren't only Russia, Turkey, and Iran, or the more powerful actors in the region. The EU as a supernatural entity is also an important source of influence in the region. Very recently, Ukraine and Georgia were given candidacy status, and Armenia has noted that it has European aspirations. And so clearly in the post-Soviet space, the European Union is becoming an important base of policy development and orientation. Now, in that context, how concerned, Mr. Bettel, are you, or if you're not concerned, with developments in the region, specifically with countries that you have given, the EU has given candidacy status for? And if these processes do tend to slow down and not proceed as Europeans have anticipated, would that have a negative effect on Armenia's future trajectory?
First thing is, I have to tell you, I'm so happy to be in Yerevan and to hear from our Iranian colleagues. So there is not, and there will not be Iranian weapons used by the Russians against Ukraine. Just, I take note, and I really appreciate that statement, and I thank you. The second thing is, when we speak about dialogue, this is something I believe in dialogue, as I told you before. And I was one of the very few European leaders who had phone calls at the beginning of the war with President Putin and with President Zelensky on a weekly basis. I called one, I called the other, I called one, I called the other, I called the one, I called the other. As Arad said before, when I realized that there was no wish for dialogue from the Russian side, I gave up. Because you need a partner to have a dialogue. And then Bucha happened, and then for me it was not explainable to sit around the table with my European colleagues, and on the other side, still continue to discuss. But we will need a dialogue also with Russia. As I told you before, we won't change the neighbors. Russia will exist as a country, and there is no use to make peace conferences without Russia. If we want a peace conference, it will be a conference where Russia will be also around the table. When you ask me the European role, in fact, if you speak now about the Russia-Ukrainian war, I'm very honest with you. I believe that the only two ones who could bring peace in this country would be the Chinese and the American president. I'm sorry to be that frank. We see that all the others, we can have meetings and meetings and meetings, but if the Chinese president and the American president decides, because they are more linked to Ukraine and more to Russia, that there should be peace tomorrow, I think this could move on the things. But it's not on the agenda, it looks like today. When we speak also about the opportunities here, we have some momentums. We have in Baku soon the COP. If the Azeri government wants to prove that they believe in peace, and they want to be pragmatic, and they want to be constructive, it is the moment that before the COP29, this peace agreement should be signed. It's the interest of all. If not, I have to be very honest with you. If they refuse to sign before the COP, I don't know what could happen after the COP. And so I think it's the momentum where we as international community, and I speak as international community, because to be very honest about the war in Ukraine and Russia, and I don't want to be misunderstood as a European country, we had the Normandy format, Europe was absent. We had discussions with Russia, there was Turkey, there was the other countries, there is China, there is India today, but it's the fact that the European Union, because we have 27 countries with 27 rules who have been created during the honeymoon phase, and not during more difficult phase, we are not able to have common positions. So we are very strong economic weight, but politically, in foreign affairs, because we need the unanimity, we are not able to have very often strong common positions. And that's the reason why also we are not a heavyweight in regional aspects. So we take sanctions and sanctions and sanctions and sanctions, and we claim what is not going right. But I strongly believe in dialogue. I strongly believe that European Union, when we want to be stronger, it cannot be just with sanctions or money. It should be also with political weight and with supporting countries, and not just if you don't agree with us, you are bad and you be punished. The world is not black and white. And the Iranian colleague spoke also about the situation in Palestine and Israel. I really dislike the situation for the moment. And it's terrible. When you criticize Israel, you're anti-Semitic, and when you criticize Palestine, you support the genocide. So, and it's, believe me, the situation is, you cannot be in favor of Palestine or in favor of Israel. You have to be in favor of peace. And you have to be in favor of two-state solution. So we shouldn't see the world in a black or white position. There are situations where there is gray, and we should allow to have the dialogues possible, to have common positions, and especially peace. I repeat what I said before. The civil populations are the biggest victims of our not possibility to find agreements on the ground.